11 days and 25 minutes. That is how long, under medical supervision, Randy Gardner did not sleep. That is the current world record for the longest period without sleep. 11 days, 25 minutes. Now, he didn't have trouble sleeping per se. They purposely kept him awake, but I've had a lot of trouble falling asleep. I bet you have at least some nights, if not a lot of nights, that you find your inability to fall asleep. Sleep can be very tricky because there's really two kinds of sleep that we're looking for at night. You want to be actually asleep, your body to be shutting down, right, while you're sleeping, but also your mind, and that's really my trouble. Typically, my body is shut down, but my brain is running, and not just dreaming. Dreams are fun. I pity people who have nightmares. I don't have nightmares. I have some stressful dreams at times, but I don't really have nightmares. I typically enjoy my dreams and have a lot of fun in my dreams. I don't know, maybe you can put down in the comments some of the dreams you've had, or whether or not you have fun dreams or more nightmares. But for Randy Gardner, it is reported that he was having serious cognitive issues, behavior issues. He was acting out of character for him, paranoia, and hallucinations during these 11 days and 25 minutes. When he finally was able to go to sleep, he went to sleep pretty quickly and stayed asleep in a deep sleep for just about 15 hours, 14 hours and 40 minutes. He woke up and was awake for a little bit and then went back to sleep for another 10 hours of sleep. His body was desperately needing sleep. Our body, sleep is one of those, in many cases, it's one of those involuntary things. I mean, yes, we need to make choices on our sleep patterns. We need to make better choices for our sleep patterns. But typically, generally speaking, if your body wants to sleep, it will sleep. Hopefully not during this devotion, hopefully not in church. But if you really need a nap, your body is going to slowly shut down, especially if you're sitting sedentary, right? If you're sitting well, I have fallen asleep driving. That was not fun, but that's a subject for another day. But if you're sitting sedentary on a couch or in bed trying to read, how many of you have fallen asleep reading or fallen asleep watching something? It's just kind of that involuntary. Your body says, all right, it's time to shut down, and many times it will just shut down, okay? So let's discuss why rest is such an important part for our holistic health. That's our new start, right? Nutrition, exercise, water, sunlight, temperance, air, very vital, and now we're getting into the R, which is, of course, rest. We need rest. Our mind, our body, spiritual rest, and even our emotional health needs some rest. It needs some sleep. So let's open it up by discussing our body. Now, we know, as we just learned from the story of Randy Gardner, there's some serious issues when you don't get enough sleep, right? Your body will start to freak out a little bit, and you'll have all kinds of issues. But sleep does a lot of good things for your body as well, outside of just stopping you from hallucinating and stopping you from being so paranoid. Sleep helps your heart and your blood pressure. Your heart actually, for a bit while you fall asleep, speeds up. But it gets into a rhythm and a pattern as you go through the 4 stages of sleep, as you build towards REM sleep, which is when you dream. So your heart has to go through a process, and it needs time. Your heart, your blood, everything needs time to go through that process. So if you're limiting the hours of sleep because you went to bed too late, or you didn't take good care of yourself as you try to get ready for bed or whatever, if you lose sleep, it can throw off your whole pattern. Sleep is good for your heart and your blood pressure. It helps regulate blood sugars. I've been around those with diabetes, with diabetics. I don't think I've ever heard that before. Maybe you have. Maybe you can share that in the comments. But I personally have not heard, you hear about certain things, insulin and sugars and things like that, and the way they eat and when they eat for diabetics. I've never heard getting a good night's sleep, but According to what I've read, a good night of sleep, good sleep patterns, good sleep habits can help your body regulate your blood sugars as well. So if you're dealing with diabetes, try to mix in a good nap maybe during the day, or at least good sleep habits at night. Do the best you can. Sleep, of course, also helps promote healing in your body. Hair, not mine, but hair grows a little faster at night. Fingernails I've heard grow faster while you sleep, but that's because the body is doing things and recharging for the next day. It's that natural tendencies that God put in us for life. And so part of that processes that are going on tonight is that your bones, your muscles and things are healing and regenerating a little quicker as well. Part of that is because of the lack of use. I also didn't know this before. But I don't know how sleepwalking or moving around, tossing and turning work, but apparently if you get into the right mode of sleep and the right stage of sleep, you actually become paralyzed. Your legs in general, typically your legs and your arms become paralyzed so that they're not moving, so that you're not acting out your dreams like a dog, right? Like running in your sleep. Now, of course, as I mentioned, some people still sleepwalk and things, but I'm talking about the general public. You're actually go paralyzed a little bit, so that inactivity, right? If you've got a bad quad, you're going to move it naturally through the day. You're going to tense up, you're going to move it, you're going to flex it, you're going to walk or whatever. But at night, when it's laying still and it's inactive, the quad can sit there and do some work it needs to do in healing. So sleep is good for your healing as well. And of course, I've shared this before, but the more hours of sleep you get before midnight, the better it is for your body. There's a rhythm in your body that God instilled in us, this rhythm. And many of us, we stay awake, and maybe around 11 or midnight, we're like, oh, I better get some sleep because I got work in the morning. Start that process earlier. The more hours of sleep you get before midnight is better on your sleep rhythm and the processes that your body is going through. It doesn't just come with age. I've noticed many people have, they start to yawn around 7. And I know that's early. That's early for me. But I start to yawn and I tell myself, oh man, I should go to bed. Sadly, I never do. But I keep telling myself, I'm so tired at 7. Well, it's part of that rhythmic process your body's going through. 7 o'clock, your body's telling you, all right, folks, it's time for bed. And too bad it takes us a couple hours until we get into bed. Let's see how sleep affects your mind. Your mind is like a big filing cabinet, right? You see so many things during the day. Consciously and subconsciously, you process so much through the day. All the colors, everything you see, everything you hear, all the noises, everything's processed by your brain. And it needs that time to file it all. When it's not, I should take you into my office. My office is a mess. It's because I'm not there often. I run in, drop stuff off, run out, off to the next meeting, next appointment, next visit, next Bible study, whatever I'm doing. And then it starts to build up and build up. That's our minds without correct sleep patterns. All these things just kind of get tossed in, then they lay around. They need time. Your mind needs time to file everything properly. Well, it does that at night. Why? Because you're not taking in really anything, of course, while you sleep. Subconsciously you're still hearing some sounds or smells or things in the house, but you're processing a lot less, and so the mind has more time to put things filed where they need to be filed. Okay, it's good for your mind. It happens, a lot of that filing takes place in your REM sleep, which is a couple of stages in. You've got to be able to get to that stage of sleep. A good night of sleep can help you feel less scatterbrained. I know I have that issue a lot, especially the older I get, a lot more scatterbrained. I'm thinking of way too many things all at once, and I can't process anything, right? I'm texting, I'm having a conversation, I'm thinking about a Bible study, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, I'm praying about that. So many things going on. Lack of sleep will cause that to be exaggerated, that scatterbrainness. Sleep enhances our learning, it enhances our memory, and that is why, how many of you remember from taking SATs? What did they tell you the night before? Don't go party the night before. I took SATs at a school that did them on Sundays. So you hear, don't go party Saturday night. Don't go to the movies. Don't go do things Saturday. Go to bed Saturday night, because it helps, it enhances your learning and also your memory, your ability to recall the things that you have learned. According to an article on WebMD, sleepiness can cause the same effects on your mind that drunkenness can cause. So you've got that problem, right? That not being clear-minded when you're more sleepy. Okay, that's why the Apostle Peter tells us in his letter. He tells us to be clear-minded. Why? He says we've got an enemy who's out seeking out to get us. So you've got to have a clear mind, and sleep will help you have a clear mind. Okay? All right, how about our spiritual life? Well, I believe full-heartedly, wholeheartedly, I believe that God knew all of this well in advance. He even planned it before sin, right? Before sin entered this planet, God anointed a day for rest. He sanctified it. He blessed it. He calls it the Sabbath. He says that people should take a day off. It's amazing to me, and I'll have a video on this coming up soon, but there's so much talk right now during this pandemic, during this stay at home, and during this quarantine. So much discussion of, boy, the world needs a break. Look how the pollution's clearing up. Look at the canals of Venice. Look how families are hanging out and doing things together. Look at just at the general notion of the world. I mean, look how divisive everything was. And then now you see a lot of healing in our culture. Well, and the world is saying, we need a day off. We need a day off. We need a day off. It's interesting that the world is now finally catching up to what God said 6,000 years ago. He said, hey, you're going to need a day off. Take a day off, the Sabbath. God wants you to get some rest, and that is exactly his plan. That's why he built the Sabbath into the week at the end of the week. Such a key point there. He put the Sabbath at the end of the week. Go work and then rest. And I know our sinful ways, our personal ways, our desirous ways are to procrastinate. I'll rest and then I'll work, right? Well, no, not the first day, but the last day of the week. God says, go rest. Get some work in, do some things, get a lot done, take care of your families, and then get some rest. Hebrews 4:9 says this. This is the New Testament, everyone. It says, there remains therefore a rest for the people of God. And of course, the Sabbath is a symbol of Jesus. Jesus is our ultimate rest. We have peace and rest in him. So rest signifies the spiritual act of rest in Jesus, shows that we are putting our lives in his care. Find some rest. Find some rest. So don't just work on sleep. Don't just take naps here and there. But please, 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 take a day off. God has given you a day off. He has said the Sabbath, the seventh day, is a day to relax and rest in him. All right, how about emotionally? Well, when I'm feeling depressed, I'll just speak from my own personal life here. When I'm feeling depressed, there's typically two things I want to do. I want to eat and I want to sleep. Well, one of those things is good for me for my emotions. One of those doesn't really help my emotions. Sleep is what you need. Sleep is what you want. Sleep is what you should give into. If you're feeling down, depressed, dark cloud over you, get some rest. I'm going to take a quick break from that because I'm just thinking, I missed the total important part here. Your body needs to shut down at night. And I hate telling you this because I don't want to follow this. Stop the fourth meal. Stop the late night snacking. Give your body rest. You eat a bunch, you go to sleep, well, your body's processing that all night long. Get some real rest. Cut it off. For me, it's 6 o'clock. I do my best. Not always perfect, but typically, actually, I've gotten in a pretty good habit with this. Stop eating by 6 o'clock so that when I go to bed, my body is good to go. It's processed the food out of my stomach, and it's ready to fall asleep. All right, but for our emotional life, You want to sleep, you want to eat? Well, one, don't emotionally eat. Trust me, that's my problem. Get some sleep. When one does sleep when they're depressed, typically, you take a good nap or you get a good night's sleep, you wake up feeling a lot better because of all those things we've talked about. Your body's more rested, your mind is more clear, your spiritual well-being is being enhanced by that rest you got. Sleep deprivation can cause crankiness. And we talk about being hangry, right? Hungry and angry. Well, sleepiness can also cause that crankiness. And many times when you're cranky or someone else is cranky, it's because they need a nap. Just like when we were babies, right? You need a nap. Sleep deprivation can cause crankiness. It can cause overwhelming negativity. Not just negativity, but like an overwhelming feeling of all the bad things in life. You're more prone to notice the negative things in your life when you're sleepy. And also it promotes greater worry in your life when you don't have that clear-mindedness that sleep provides. So, emotionally, spiritually, physically, and mentally, get some rest. It'll be good for your souls. Because we have an enemy, he's on the attack, and he doesn't want you ready for Jesus' soon return. Don't forget that. Get some sleep, ponder the great things Jesus has in store for you, because Jesus is coming soon.